Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of The Happy Heretic, and this is part of the Hobby Philosophy series, the series where I sit around, talk about this great hobby of ours while you sit there and watch me paint, give you something little interesting to look at rather than just listening to the sound of my voice. So today's topic, I got from a Facebook post. I wish I had saved the Facebook post. I really do, because it was a very interesting post. It was a very long one. I didn't quite get to read it all the way through because it was on my break at work, and I had to get back to work, and Facebook didn't save my spot for me. But the gist of it was there was I don't even remember what Facebook group. I found this one, and I think it might have been just a random 40K group or something like that. But the gist of it was there was a person who originally had been able, when they first started out in the hobby, to devote massive amounts of time to it. We're talking like 6 to 8 hours a day, almost a full-time job in and of itself. Somebody who had, their every waking moment just about was not necessarily consumed by the hobby, but a lot of time spent, painting, kit bashing. I don't know if there was any playing involved or anything like that, but they spent a lot of time on this hobby, which is something that is very, very easy to do for anybody who's passionate about it. I myself, in my younger days, have been known to do 24-hour binges sometimes, usually when I had a tournament and forgot to paint up enough units in my army to actually go to said tournament. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So he suddenly he found himself the parent of a newborn. And his hobby time went from, an insane amount of time per day to almost nothing. Like, we're talking down to 1 or 2 hours, which anybody out there who has had kids knows it's quite the life-changing experience. I mean, when you have a newborn, your every waking moment pretty much is devoted to the care and feeding of that newborn, and it doesn't get much better when they get older. By the time they start crawling and walking around, you spend every waking moment keeping them busy and trying to keep them from killing themselves in new and interesting ways. That is essentially what toddlerhood is. And to a lesser extent, childhood, and sometimes as teenagers. There's not a whole lot of difference between teenagers and preschoolers and toddlers a lot of times, I've found, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So this person, brand new dad, found themselves going from a lot of hobby time per week to almost nothing, to barely anything, barely an hour or so a day. And he was wanting some tips on how to cope with that, essentially, how to manage that. And God, I wish I had good tips. I really do. It's one of those things that is so situational when you have such a life-changing moment, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, having a kid. It could be anything from, getting a brand new job. Maybe you've got a job that, previously you had a job that maybe afforded you a lot of hobby time. Maybe you were working from home, or maybe there wasn't a lot to do at your job, or maybe your job was painting minis, as lucky as it might seem. Maybe you're lucky enough to work at a hobby store and get paid to sell and paint and play games and crap like that, and then you go to something that takes up more of your time, maybe something higher paid, yes, but it has things like maybe lots of travel time, or maybe you have lots of overtime that you have to work, and you don't have as much to devote to the hobby as you previously did. So how do you manage that? In my case, I am a dad. I don't have a newborn. My kid is well past the newborn stage, but he is special needs. He's about 7 years old. He's a special needs child. He's autistic, so he does require a lot of attention. Well, and I also work full time as well. So when he's at school, and I work from home like a lot of people in today's age, but when he's in school, I'm working. When he gets home, I work for a portion of the time when he gets home, and then I spend a little bit of time with him before he goes to bed, and then at that point when he passes out, hopefully I finally get an hour or two of hobby time a night. Maybe. There's some nights I don't get any. There's some nights where he is just go, doesn't want to go to sleep, doesn't want to get in bed, and just doesn't cooperate with anything, which as kids do. It happens. It happens. I don't blame him. I don't blame him for when it does happen. There's times when I didn't cooperate as a kid either. So the question is, how do you manage your expectations as to what you can do, and how do you cope with not being able to do as much in the hobby as you might have been used to? Now, I can say from personal experience that you can feel guilty about not spending as much time in the hobby as you'd like. Maybe you've got this pile of shame that's been sitting there for God knows how long, and because you've got all these other commitments, you can't devote any time to it. Maybe you think you have zero time to devote to the hobby. Maybe you're so busy, you're like, oh man, I can't even do an hour. The most I could do is maybe half an hour possibly, but you can't get anything done in half an hour. And all these things race through your head, and eventually you just stop doing it because it's just easier just to focus on what's in front of you, and put aside something that you really, really love and really, really enjoy for your other commitments. Now, I am not going to say that you should ignore those other commitments or anything like that. Definitely, family, job, all of that comes first. You gotta put food on the table first and foremost. You gotta pay the rent. You gotta have money for hobbying, left over for hobbying if that's what you want to do. You got to raise your kids and raise them the right way, and make sure your family is taken care of before you do anything else. But I think a lot of people get focused on the time as a I don't want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say currency, because that's not the right word at all. They get fixated on the amount of time that they have to spend on the hobby, and rather than looking at what they can get out of that time, if that makes any sense at all. I'm not sure if it does. I'm not working off of a script here. I'm just kind of throwing ideas out there and just kind of talking. So I think a lot of people get fixated on the amount of time that they actually have, and they're thinking about, oh, I only have an hour, or I only have a half hour, rather than, okay, what can I do with that time? What can I do with that half hour, or that hour, or that 2 hours, or whatever amount of time you have? And I think that's what people need to focus on more, rather than the amount of time they have. And best way to do that, I've found, is to focus on one aspect of what you're wanting to do. Number one, before you even do that, number one, you just have to accept the fact that you're not going to be able to get everything done that you want to get done as quickly as you want to get it done. You're not going to be able to spend, if you've got 5 kids and you've got a full-time job, ain't no way in hell, unless you have a very forgiving spouse, there ain't no way in hell you're going to be spending 24 hours painting a damn army. It just ain't gonna happen. So get that out of your head right now. If you came here and clicked on this video expecting to find the answer on how to do that, you ain't getting it from me. So I do not need any angry wives and husbands calling me out here and saying you told my spouse to spend 24 hours painting our army and no way in hell am I doing that. Oh Lord, where was I? So, yeah, just accept you're not going to be able to get as much done as you want to get done. It's just not going to happen. You got to be realistic about those expectations. Now, once you do that, once you accept that, it's important to focus on what you can get done. You know, if you're in the process of painting an army, for example, let's go with that. Think about, okay, how long, let's say you've got your paint scheme picked out and all that good stuff. Think about, okay, how long does it take me to paint one Space Marine? Let's go with Space Marines, because that's what everybody plays. How long is it going to take me to paint one Space Marine? Is it going to take me, can I do it in an hour? Can I do it in 2 hours? 3, 4, 5? How long am I going to spend on, and not even on a character, just a bog standard Space Marine? How long is it going to take me to paint just a grunt? One guy out of one squad, and break it down into steps. Okay, first I base coat. How long does it take me to base coat? Drying time included, all that good stuff. Blah blah blah. This isn't anything that you need to write down or anything like that. You can if you want, but I mean, this is just something that you need to think about and mull over in your head. So if you're looking at your army and you're thinking about how long it's going to take you to paint one single Space Marine in that army, and you think, okay, I could do one Space Marine in an hour. Okay, fair enough. Do you have an hour per night to paint? Yes. If the answer is yes, then okay, great. You can do one. If you do something every day, you can do one Space Marine every single day. If you do one Space Marine every single day in a month, that's what, 30 Space Marines roughly, 31 Space Marines. That's 2 months of painting. You got 60 models going. That's a pretty good sized army if you're doing tabletop standard. Of course, you might want to spend a little bit more time on the characters, but that's a whole other thing there. You can even break it down further than that, and you can say, okay, well, base coating takes me 15 minutes to do. I've got half an hour max that I can hobby every night. So I can do a base coat. I can lay down base coat on 2 Space Marines in that half hour time. Okay, that gets you something. You're not finished with the Space Marines, but that gets you moving along. You got base coat down on 2 Space Marines. Congratulations. A week and you've got an entire squad base coated. Then you might go back and say, okay, how long does it take me to do edge highlights on one Space Marine? If the answer is an hour, it takes me an hour to do the edge highlights. Okay, you spend one night base coating a Space Marine. If you got an hour, you spend another night doing edge highlights. If you got less than an hour, maybe you spend 2 nights doing edge highlights and that sort of thing. And it sounds small. It sounds like you're not doing a whole lot. But over time, by breaking down what you need to do into these incremental steps and taking it one little step at a time, over time, you're making progress. And as you go, not only are you going to be making progress, but you're going to be developing the skills that you need to effectively paint this army. You're going to get quicker and quicker and quicker at it. Maybe first couple of nights you do this, you're only able to do 1 Space Marine a night. Or maybe you're only able to do just the base coat or maybe half of the edge highlights in a night. But as you go on, you find out, okay, this is getting easier. I can do more in the little amount of time I have. So maybe you get quicker, you get better at edge highlighting. You're able to do the edge highlights, knock them down to maybe half an hour, or maybe you find some places where you can improve your efficiency in your paint job. Maybe instead of doing like normally you would do like 3 steps on edge highlighting, maybe you cut it down to 2 or 1 step, and you're just like, okay, that's fine. I'm happy with that. It's tabletop standard. I'm good to go. You cut down on some time. So the point is, break down what you need to do, except that you're not going to be able to get as much done in a night as you want. You're not going to. It's just not going to happen. And then break down what you need to do into incremental steps and tackle it 1 step at a time. Because if you look at it that way, you're going to be making progress. You're going to be moving towards your goal of finishing a model or finishing a squad or finishing an army. You may be doing it very, very slowly compared to what you normally could do, but you're going to be chugging along. You're going to be feeling an accomplishment. You're going to be developing your skills. You're going to be getting quicker and quicker and better. And as you go along, you're going to find that you can do more and more with your hobby time. And that, I think, is key to managing your expectations and key to maximizing your hobby time. Break it down into those incremental steps. Look at it piece by piece. Deal with what's in front of you. Deal with the small stuff first, because the small stuff adds up. I don't know if I made any sense at all throughout this, but if I did, and you agree with me, leave a comment below and let's get a discussion going. If you liked what you heard, leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Both of those things help me out quite a bit, and I have every goal of growing this channel as big as I can possibly make it. And I will see you all next time.